I'm very excited about today because I did a number of seminars in Atlanta. I was there doing a few things. I was speaking at 2 church seminars, and then Saturday we did a supernatural success seminar that was so good and so well attended. And I spent many hours with Steve Harvey's people talking about doing projects with them because they have a base out of there too. And my friend who works with Steve Harvey said, "Why don't you just stay the night, Saturday night, and let's go to dinner? I know of a nice place." I said, "We have a church, and I don't like to ever miss that church." And then he asked me a question that I liked. He says, "Why?" I said, "I love to teach. I love to build people. I've done this for 38 years, but I get back. Do you know that this church, that my soul is being fed? At this church, we are building real relationships." Clap your hands, like for real. I look forward to it. And so I try to get around to as many people as I can. I think this week alone I have lunches or dinners with 2 new people, and I eat with people. We do weddings, I do funerals, and I love being a pastor. I love what we're doing. I just want to tell you this briefly, that coming up soon we're going to start talking about getting into our own building. And I'm just going to tell you how scary this is not. Okay, so my friend John, I'll say his name John because of the internet. They just built a $65 million building in Washington, D.C. How many of you know I'm not going to do that? Does anybody know how much Mariners Church is, roughly? Must be at least 40. You can Google it later. Saddleback, same types of numbers. So for us to get into a church at about 3 million, 3.5 million is pretty mind-boggling, but we're going to do it. We're going to have about 500 seats, and then we're going to do 2 services. And then I think over a period of time, we'll do 3 services. But my whole idea is to keep us as a boutique church. I'm not trying to have a mega church. I've been asked to do that for 20 years. People have tried to give me their very large churches after they were going to retire. I don't want that kind of headache. I know it sounds glamorous, like, we got 12,000 people. That's 12,000 people. I'd rather deal with about 1,000, 1,200, 1,500 and really see your life get a personal touch from our team so we can really expand your life, that it would go to your children's children. Clap your hands if you think that's awesome, okay? All right? So full disclosure, there's going to be different tiers of giving. And because I've spent 38 years on the road, I have a lot of friends. So I'm already talking to some, and we're doing this one thing where you can give like 50,000 at a time, and a lot of them are already saying yes. And they're just guys that have a lot of money, and they got to give it to a nonprofit, and a lot of them are not Christian, which I think is cool. And then as part of that gift, they're going to have like a put in the church that has their favorite scripture on it, or it somehow recognizes their grandmother or their mother. So that's one way we're going to do it. Then there's going to be other tiers that we could all get involved in. Now, let me just tell you something, and I mean this with all my heart. When you build God's house, He will build your house. And we're a young church. We'll be 4 years old around September 13th. We're doing really good. So we're about 625 on paper. And then when you do with the Southern California market, you usually have half of that crowd to more than half that will come on the Sundays, okay? A lot of you come every single Sunday, but some of you only come once every 4 weeks, which you should come more often. But we're building a real church, and it's working. So I'm telling you, as a planner who's pretty doggone good at this, in about 2 years, we're going to be riding really high. And we're going to keep helping the homeless. We're going to do stuff with human trafficking in a bigger way. We're going to do missions trips. Somebody clap your hands like this is good. We're going to have a youth group that's awesome. It's awesome now, but it's going to be better. Children's, and my big thing, because my mother's getting older, seasoned citizens. How many of you are over 70? We want to dote all over you. Over 70, we want to dote all over you. We want you to feel like you're being doted on. And then down the line, I'm going to start a Bible school here and bring in a bunch of my friends and blow everybody away. So are you glad you come? So thanks for taking the time. My message today is pristine. I've had a lot of time to work on it way before Atlanta, but on the way to Atlanta, which was about 4.5 hours, on the way back last night, headwinds, 5 hours. I am ready for you, so get ready. Clap your hands. Let's do it. All right, Trailblazers. Tributes of a Trailblazer is what we're talking about today. The word dream means a hope, a condition, an achievement, something that is longed for. It is an aspiration. I want you to say this. Say, I have aspirations. Now, I really want you to hear me today because my mind is so clear. I like to tease about this, but it seems like if you decide to lose weight, they will build a Krispy Kreme across the street from your house. Come on now. If you decide that you're going into real estate, for a lot of you that are in real estate, because there are a lot in this church, it's amazing that the side angles that will come, or the people that will steal from you, or the things that you go through, or anybody that has your own business here, you have to admit that in the last 12 months, you feel like you've been under some type of attack. If that's you, just lift your hands, okay? So a dream is a hope, a condition, an achievement that is longed for. It's an aspiration. So an aspiration, watch, is something that we think about. Like, oh, I'd love to go to Italy. Dream, aspiration, okay? Oh, I would love to go here, aspiration. I would love to go see the Eagles. I heard they're still touring. I would like to go to Stagecoach. That's an aspiration. I would like my son to go to Harvard, to Yale, to Brown, to somewhere. So that's an aspiration. So I write in my notes, dreams are super easy, but working for it seems to be challenging. Okay? I'm going to give you 4 D's today. This is all new information that is going to be very powerful. Number 1, if you're taking notes, is the word decision. Decision. A decision is a selection. If you go to a restaurant, they will give you a menu, and you have a choice to make a decision. Now, here's a challenge with some of the decisions we've made. They weren't great. And so today's decisions became tomorrow's realities. How many of you admit that you are living in some of the decisions that you made that were not always fantastic, okay? The second D that I want to talk about today is I want to talk about dedication. So you got the decision, and then you got the dedication. Now, how many of you are business owners? Lift your hands. Have you noticed that it's difficult to find employees that start dedicated and what? Stay dedicated. So wave at me if that sounds like something that you're up to, okay? It makes sense, right? To start dedicated, but to stay dedicated. So I'm talking about being a trailblazer today. So you have your decision, and then you have your dedication. Now, so this whole decision part is what everybody's talking about. But what I need as a pastor and life coach, I need that dedication. I need for you to put your anchor down and say, if I'm getting a job at Polly's Pies, it's not for 2 weekends. If I'm going to take care of somebody's kids, it's not for a week. If I'm going to come to the Congregation Church, it's not going to be just until it doesn't feel good. If I'm going to be in a relationship, I'm going to have to fight through his snoring. And there's a lot of ways to do that, including surgery. Say dedication. So this is where I am super good. But the more I studied dedication the last 2 weeks, this is a fact by psychologists. They said, people will not dedicate themselves fully to things they don't believe are that important. Isn't this so good? So, like, if you get weeds in your backyard, how many of you know that's not usually much of a dedication? That's like, let me pull my weeds, get it over with. Okay? The DMV, how many of you just do your best to try to get in and out as quick as possible? Lift your hands. But what about a dedication that maybe God could download something into your heart this year? That he gives you an idea, whether it's a job, whether it's a business idea, whether it's a book idea, whether it's an idea for your son or your daughter, and it doesn't look like it's going to work at times, but you have so stepped into dedication that you are so committed to this task that no matter what comes against you, you do not stop. This is what I believe is developing in you, is not only decision, but dedication until you finish the task. Clap your hands like this is powerful. This is really good, guys. So say decision, and then secondly is what? Dedication. The third is, this is so important. I literally spent 4 hours on this, got so much research for other sermons. Drive. Okay, somebody tell me here, when you were driven at one time. Was there ever a time in your youth you were driven? Maybe it was riding motorcycles. It could be a job. But tell me a time in your life where you were driven. I'm going to actually ask you. Wave your hands, okay? What would you say? Okay, you ran for office. What kind of office? Board of Trustees, community college. You had to be driven for that. Okay, give me one. Okay, and had to be driven. Okay, somebody else. Okay, so a gymnast. Like at what level? You went to high school, then what? So you took cheerleading to like the high level. So you had to be like driven. Okay, so somebody tell me what driven is to you. Is driven just we throw a little bit of energy, then we back off? What is driven to you? Focus. Somebody else. Ooh, perfect word. Relentless. Passion. Discipline. See, I'm loving this group. Perseverance. Obsessed. Listen, you got to get obsessed. So watch how much I'm going to help you today. So you could have a decision, then you could have what? Dedication, but then you have to have what? Oh, this is where we lose. And you can get filled up even on sermon. On Sunday, you start leaking on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and you stop losing that drive. But it's that drive that's going to give you the following things. I got this from a book. It's going to give you a confidence. It's going to give you a courage. It's going to give you a commitment, and it's going to allow you to be convinced. And there are studies that have been out there that when somebody is driven because they have a revelation, they're almost impossible to stop. That is what's going to happen to you in 2019. You are going to blaze trails because you're confident, courageous, committed. Come on, somebody, convinced. Say, I'm driven. Okay. But the way we get driven in this, and we'll go to scripture in a minute, is that we are driven based on, we believe it's God's plan. Okay, so our reference scripture is Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. So that says, trust in the Lord and with all your heart, TimStorey, but in all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths, which is plural. So I'm going to make a decision to follow the path. And then secondly, I'm going to do the what? What's number 2D? The what? I'm saying this on purpose. Then I got to get dedicated. I can't just have like a spiritual moment. I got to get dedicated, but then I got to get the drive. Can I tell you something? It's hard to stay driven alone. This is where the Congregation Church comes in. This is one reason we do the gatherings. This is one reason I'm doing a new men's group that I'm going to come, and for the men I can't fit in, I'm going to do more men's groups, and then we're going to do the Saturday men's group, so I'm going to bring people in. But I'm trying to tell you, it's hard to stay driven by yourself. You got to get other people, male or female, in your life that have confidence, courage, commitment, and they are convinced. And I'm going to try to tell you something. When you get driven, people are going to try to stop you. So what are your motives for being so driven? What are you driven? It's good, right? People are talking about you for being so driven. Jesus was so driven that he told the disciples, my calling is to do the desire of my Father. That's what he was driven to. He was convinced, he was courageous, he was committed. It was deep down inside of him. He had a confidence. My desire is to do the will of the Father. There's a book by a gentleman by the name of Keller that I have a lot of people that I life coach called The One Thing. I've read the book 4 times now. And let me tell you something. Some of us guys, and it's not to put you down, but we're good at a lot of things, a plethora of things. But I believe that in 2019 and 20, we're going to start getting better at a couple things. And we are going to be so strong in these areas. And we are going to blow through and make a way where there was no way. Somebody clap your hands. Come on, people. Say decision. Number 2. Number 3. All right, number 4 is discovery. Discovery. You're going to love this, okay? Now, I told you the story of one time I asked Quincy Jones about a famous artist. And just because some of my stuff can go viral, I can't say the person's name just so I don't want to make Quincy look bad, because he wasn't saying anything mean. But this particular artist has one hit song, okay? Now, would you rather go see a concert with somebody with 20 to 30 hit songs or one hit song? Just lift your hands. How many more hit songs. Okay. All right, so without saying too much, I won't say the name of the person, but I will say the beat of the song. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Can anybody kick some more of the lyrics for me? Yeah, but who can kick some of the lyrics? Who can say some of the lyrics? Anybody? Stand up, Carrie. Carrie, give Carrie a big friend clap. One of my friends. Okay. So give me a little ice baby. We got talented people at this church. And his wife is as smart as him. That was cool. And I admit, Al, I like the beat. But if I go see Ice Baby, okay, at the Staples Center, come on, just think about it. The first song, I'm going to be like, yeah. Boom, 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 boom. Look, then what? How many of you ever gone out with somebody and they only had one hit song? You better lift your heads, people. This is so true. Their hit song was, I have long hair. Everybody loves me. That's your hit song. You're gonna bore me. It's not even act 2. Somebody say good teaching. So what we want in life is that we want to move into that 4th stage, and this is where I'm really can take you somewhere. And that's that stage of discovery. I believe there are things in your life, if you're taking notes, number 1, that are hidden, and number 2, that are obvious, and you have been missing them because of the challenges against your life that have not made you as clear as normal. Okay. So, I believe that God brings an answer to prayer, and he'll like, and because you're not in a good place, your brother could be acting up, your sister could be acting up, your mom could be acting up, your dog could be ill. I'm just talking about people, the things that I hear. Something could have happened to your house. You kind of got infested with ants. I don't know what goes on in your house. But something went wrong, right? But God drops a very powerful God idea plan, and you did not recognize it because it came at a time did not seem opportune. And that's why I say the statement that God usually calls you to an upward calling in a downward time. So many of the things that I get called to do, they're at a time when I don't feel good. Like, I don't feel good. And then it's like my day off and my body hurts and everything. And someone will call me with this amazing call. So sometimes you're called to an upward calling in a downward time, but you miss it because it's not coming in the package that you thought it was going to come in. You thought, oh, I'm going to be in stride. I'm going to be feeling it. Come on, somebody. I'm going to be out. People are going to love me. And God comes and presents something to you that is part of what I call that discovery zone. So watch this. If you look back to your former jobs, there are a lot of life lessons you learned that got you to even right here. Okay, I'm going to start with Pastor Page. What did you learn from being a waitress at Coco's that has helped you to become such a good business person in design and now to be such an amazing pastor? Give me something you learned from being a server. You really did, for real, right? What if you would have up and gone? You would have just been Ice Ice Baby. Hand that to Corey, because he's done so many jobs. Give me a job, Corey, that I would not know you had, that you somehow discovered something about yourself.
When I was forced out of music for a little while, I got into investing and trading, which I didn't know that I had in me, the ability to do such a thing. And then I got into teaching and speaking about it, and I've been able to help so many people change their lives through that, which I was scared to death, literally, to speak in front of people where I could play drums in front of tens of thousands. So it's been awesome.
So it really did help your life? It stretched you?
Big time. People in my life forced me to stretch. I was so scared when they asked me, and I said, nope, I'm not speaking in front of people. And they said, well, why not? You're comfortable playing in front of people. What's the difference?
Yes. So I think we're saying part of the discovery process, we're going to feel awkward, out of sorts, and stretched. Have you noticed that that's been happening a little bit in your life, where God is taking you to places that are sometimes awkward, they're out of sorts, but they're still part of his amazing plan? Okay, now watch how awesome this is. It says, the sluggard craves and gets nothing, but the desires of the diligent are fully satisfied. That's Proverbs 13:4. Proverbs 10:4 says, lazy hands make a man poor. See, that's not me. But diligent hands bring wealth. Say, that's me. But I need you to say it strong. Say, diligent hands bring wealth. Okay, so I'm going to tell you something. If it's in the Bible, I'm going to buy into it. Okay? But I'm going to try to tell you, your diligent hands, even if you were a housekeeper, stick with me, guys, worked at a gas station, worked for bosses that did not show you respect, bosses that were vulgar, God sees all that. He saw your diligent hands, your diligent hands, your diligent hands, your diligent hands were reaping what they were sowing. They were reaping what they were sowing. They were reaping what they were sowing. They were reaping what they were sowing. So you better get ready, because payday is on its way. Come on, clap your hands and shout. Somebody say discovery. See, I really believe that part of where you're headed, it's good to have like a plan. This is my plan. This is my design. This is my second year goal, my third year goal, my fourth year goal. But I'm trying to tell you, you're going to be out there in the middle of doing something, and you're just going to be helping somebody on a regular day, and God's going to drop a God idea into you, and he's going to say, hey, listen, this is part of who you are about to be now. We're shifting you up. I need you to get into the discovery zone, and I need you to get a paradigm shift. So good, right? So this happened to Peter. We'll say this briefly. He was a fisher of men, and Jesus used his boat, and he'd been a fisherman for 15 years. Now, let me just tell you something. These D's that I talked about, this whole dedication and decision and the drive and the discovery, you guys are good at that, but here's what some of you are not good at. Some of you are not open to change. You got to wake up some days and go like this: God surprised me. Come on. How many of you wish, even if your husband's right there, that your husband would get even a little more creative when it came to birthdays or Christmas? Lift your hands. Come on, we're an honest church. I sat with my friend, I wish I could say his name. He's your friend, my friend. He has a church of 18,000. So I said, well, what are you going to get her? Because she's my friend too. And he says, she doesn't want anything. I said, I doubt that. She likes shoes. She likes clothes. He literally said, she doesn't want anything. He goes, I'm not good at picking things out. So I said, you guys go to dinner? Like you go to a fancy dinner or maybe a staycation, right? Make it a little sexy? Nope. He goes, no. I just write her a nice card. I'm not much at saying much words, and I just thank her for being there. How many know she probably went to bed at 9 o'clock that night? Is this good teaching or what? So watch this. Proverbs 10:4, lazy hands make a man poor. Diligent hands bring wealth. The sluggard craves and gets nothing, but the desires of the diligent are fully satisfied. Proverbs 22:29, do you see a man skilled at his work? He will serve before kings and not with obscure men. Ecclesiastes 9:10, you guys can watch this over online at CongregationChurch.com. Whatever, oh, here we go today, a man or woman finds to do, do it with all your might. I want to know, why is that so difficult? I've been using Paul lately just because he's so smart. Take that over there. Go to my friend Paul. Some employees will not do things with all their might. First, tell them the type of business you have.
We're in the pet food business. Di and I have been doing it we're just started our 26th year. We manufacture pet food and it's direct to consumer. And we've actually been lucky enough over the years to have some pretty dedicated employees. But that doesn't mean that they've always, supported what your thoughts were, what you'd like, and it continues to do. And we're in the struggle now because we employ our sales efforts, our marketing efforts, our millennials running it. And that's a challenge for me because then I'm an old sales guy. I pick up a phone to call a customer if there's an issue. Did it this last weekend or on Friday. A fellow in D.C., because there's all kinds of changes going on in the pet food market right now. He saw peas in our formula, which peas in the formula are great, but his vet said take him off the diet, put him on something else. So I asked my guys, I said, what'd you do? We sent him an email. Okay, I'll call him. It's just that there are challenges with whether it's the younger generation or the older generation, because we have the same struggle with people's personalities, wanting to have the drive to push what they're, what it's easier to succumb to an issue than it is to try to figure out what the issue is and solve it.
Yes, you did. From my background, I would say I was driven by my dad, who was in education for 40 years. But my mom was your typical homemaker, so she was always home when I'd come home from school, which was I was very fortunate because a lot of my friends didn't have that. But I think it's also the word that comes to my mind is procrastination. I was never a procrastinator. If we were given an assignment in school that we had a month to get done, I would go home and I would start working on it that day. I just felt like if I wanted to change things, I would have time to change it. I would be able to modify, but then I could put it aside and focus on other things. So I think a lot of it is procrastination. And it's funny, Paul was talking about customer service, and that was my whole background. I took care of VIP customers worldwide, and I would pick up the phone over sending an email, and it just drives me crazy, the customer service that is lacking these days. I write letters to people. I send cards. I don't just send texts or emails. I guess, but that's the way it is now,
So if I could say this to everybody, I believe with you, Kathy, and with Paul, that if we can maintain a spirit of excellence, we will do circles around everybody else.
Oh, yeah.
Clap
Easily.
your hands if you're ready.
Easily.
Okay? Stick with this teaching, believe me. I know what I'm doing. All right. The Bible says this in the book of Hebrews chapter 11, verse 6. That God spoke to a man named Noah, and he asked him to build an ark that he had never even seen before. I'm going to teach exactly 7 more minutes. So number 1, Noah built in obedience. Somebody say this. Say, sometimes you have to build in obedience. Lift your hands if that makes sense to you. It makes no sense to my emotions. It doesn't feel like it's my career. But if you're a man and you get married and you're supposed to help support your new bride, how many think he should have a job and not be playing video games all day? Come on, just lift your hands. Okay. So say, sometimes I'm building in obedience. The Bible says in Hebrews 11, 1 through 7, he was told to build a boat in the middle of dry land. The word told means he was revealed, it was expressed, it was said to him plainly. Let me tell you about a relationship I have with God. I don't mess around with God. I remember one time I was really sick and I was in the Philippines and I had eaten a chicken that I knew I was not supposed to eat the night before. Has anybody ever, like, something in you knew, like, you should not eat that food? Come on, somebody. And I got food poisoning. And I got food poisoning the next day, and Pastor Stephan, I could hardly get out of bed, and I was supposed to speak to a lot of people that day. So here's what my prayer was to God. God, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't want to quote a bunch of scriptures, because I know them. I don't want to just say this scripture that's supposed to bring this, magical result. I want to come to you as your son and tell you, I'm sweating. I have a fever. I feel like I'm about to faint. Are you with me? And what an amazing event this is. I'm going to go speak to thousands of Catholics at one time. So would you please do me a favor and just give me a break? I lifted my hands towards heaven. I was in the hotel room. This is a true story. I felt the presence of God come over me. Now, because I didn't want to jinx it. I'm just telling you the truth. So I got in the shower, Pastor Page, and I didn't check my stomach because I was like, I was big. I was infected. So I didn't touch anything. And I'm still praying. I'm like, I'm starting to feel better. I'm not sweating. I'm feeling something. I could put my shoes on. I got energy. I got this. And then when I knew it was going to be the test, when I put my pants on, because I had to wear a suit that day. And I put my pants on, and I went like this. I went, holla. My Sansa-belt slacks were working. I'm teasing. They weren't Sansa-belt slacks. So what was your point? My point is this, is that when you are told, and God expresses it and says it plainly, and you do what you were told, God has your back. If God gives you the vision, he's going to give you the provision. Come on, clap your hands. The provision of physical healing, the provision, come on, of supernatural faith. Keep clapping. The provision of supernatural courage. Come on. He's going to give you the vision of supernatural energy. Some of you that have been lacking energy and you think you got to keep eating those 19-hour pills, God's going to give you energy. Almost done. He built in obedience. Obedience means to comply, to act on what it was said, to respect another person's command. This is one of the most difficult things to do. I'm going to tell you something. In this church, we're going to need you to do some things out of obedience, and it's going to take you out of your comfort zone. Because you're going to think, let's see. On Sundays, I usually do whew. And on Mondays, I usually do kheh. Come on, somebody. On Tuesdays, I usually do like whee. Come on, somebody. On Wednesdays, there are times that God is looking for people that says, I need you to shake up your ordinary. The tax collector, Peter the fisherman, okay? Philip, his brother. He shook him up and said, are you willing to take life to another level and blaze a trail? So let me tell you something. Where your family left it is not where it's going to remain. You are the Joseph to your family. Supernatural favor is upon your spirit, upon your mind. Clap your hands like, come on, people. Supernatural. Supernatural. Okay, last one for today. So God says to Noah, he says, hey, I want you to be a trailblazer. I need you to make a way where there was no way. There's going to be a flood. It's because of disobedience. I need you to build me a boat. He gives him the dimensions of the boat, and he says, I want you to build this. And I not only want you to start building it, but I want you to continue. Continue means to keep on the same course of action to the last, to endure, to keep on responding by God's faith. This is where pastoring is frustrating me. Okay. When I was just in Atlanta, we had all these people that came to see me. And then I came Saturday morning to another conference, and all these people came to see me. When I was just at WFG in Atlanta, all these people came to see me. The thing that's frustrating about being a pastor is how many people are finicky cats. Who has ever met a finicky cat? Lift your hands. Even if you're one, lift your hands. Like a finicky cat. What do I mean by a finicky cat? Particular, okay? And what happens with so many churches, because they want like people's attendance, they're like, okay, here's I'm spoon-fooning you here. I'm spoon-fooning you here. we're going to have some of this. Then look at what else we're going to have. Then we're going to have this. Watch me. Then we're going to do this. Then we're going to go do the Newport boat ride. Come on, somebody. And some of you are even going to walk on the water. Now, I don't have all those accoutrements. I get to say things like, okay, we got to tear down by this time. We're meeting in somebody's school. Come on, are you with me? We only have so many classes. But stick with us because we're getting people touched by God. How many of you feel like you're learning Sunday after Sunday and you're having an encounter with God himself? Clap your hands. Come on. So God says, and I close with this, keep on building. Continue. Stay on course. Somebody say, stay on course. Say, last. Endure. Hey, would you admit that so many of your friends you grew up with did not endure? They did not stay on course, and they did not last. Come on, lift your hands. Come on, wave your hands. But how many of you believe that God is going to so give you a supernatural plan for what you're supposed to do the next 6 months, that it's going to get in you, that it's in you, that it's in you, that it's in you, that it's in you, that no matter what, you are just coming. You know, last night I flew in from Atlanta because I had to do that thing. And I got a call at 2 in the morning from somebody that was struggling. I don't usually have my phone on, but this person was in really bad shape. So I was helping them and this director and helping this person 2 in the morning. And I had to do that from 2 to 4:30 in the morning. And then another person who was struggling called me at 6, so I didn't sleep that much. But so what I needed to do then, I then needed to feed my faith and starve my doubts. So I got on YouTube and I started listening to Miles Monroe teach on purpose. When I was done with him, look at me, I was like, what? But you know what? It's because I fed my faith and I starved my doubt. So let me just tell you, last thing where I see you going. I see you becoming more dedicated. I see you becoming more responsible. Come on, this is good, right? I see where you're weak, he's going to be strong. I see you mentoring more people. I see God opening up divine doors that are so big that you just don't have Ice Baby in your repertoire. But you're going to have a plethora of hits. I prophesy that to you. I'm done teaching. On a scale of 1 to 10, you guys were at 12.
Today's message was outstanding, and I'm sure it has touched you in some way. I am here, and I would love to pray with you. If God has touched you, you can receive Christ in your life today. And I'd love to pray with you. Just repeat after me. Say, Jesus, come into my life, anew and afresh. Restore my life. Forgive me from all unrighteousness. He is so faithful to everyone who prays. The Bible promises that those that cry out to him are those that pray. It is 100% that he will turn no one away. If you have said that prayer today, we would like for you to press the link and fill out the I Want to Follow Jesus card. So many people has asked me as a pastor, how do I get involved? Well, you can get involved with the online campus by partnering with us. So you can give your tithe and offering online by pressing the link below, and you'll find the donation card. So God bless you. We will keep you in prayer. Keep us in prayer. God is a mighty God.